Self-esteem is an inner structure that is built by our choices, our daily choices, our words, our actions, our thoughts. And the durability, the permanence of this structure, the strength of this structure depends on how much of these choices, words, actions, thoughts are being led by our inner spirit, our spirit. In other words, self-esteem is about how much do you know about yourself and your inner truths, and how much do you follow this? How much do you follow your unique truth? Your truth that is only meant to be seen by you. We are all given a set of truths that is only our perception, is our gold, our life, our inner beauty that we're here to put out in the world through an expression, through being. How much are we leading our life through that? My name is Gabriela, and I'm here to share a little bit about my story with self-esteem and why I think it's so valuable to talk about this and to share this wisdom. So for me, I've lived for a very long time dealing with low self-esteem. It goes up and down. It goes into the extremes of high self-esteem, which is based on the same low self-esteem, and having low, so high and low. But overall, looking at it from an inner structure, it was an inner structure built from other people's truths and values. And to go further with this, I can say also that I come from a very intuitive decision-making person, which I make every decision by this inner brilliance my whole life. And yet I've been dealing with low self-esteem my whole life. How come? How come I've always had this inner knowing, a strong inner knowing of my truth, and yet never, not as much as I would love to, spoke up about it? So I tended to dim myself and not speak up. And this came out also like incapability. Like I wanted to sometimes, but I froze. I had almost inability of a skill to be and follow this truth. And not having the courage, because it takes courage to follow our truths, because sometimes our truths are not familiar to other people, or there might not be convenient for other people. A lot of it comes out to be, it's not convenient for other people. And that is the beauty and the challenge of the challenge, that most successful people, it's funny because within their story, there is a part of them that mentions how much they had this inner calling, which inner callings, when it's a inner calling, it's always the spirit saying, let's go. And these people always say, I had an inner calling and I had to face this opposition. So when we're following our gut, our truths, our values, it is part of living here on earth, and it's part of life. It's part of the laws of universe, that we go through opposition, that especially because we have been taught that we must be all the same somehow. And we have a lot of similarities because we all have these truths, we all have these callings, we can relate with each other a lot, but our truth is not the same. We are uniquely perspective, we have unique perspectives of the world, and we want to hear your perspective. We want to speak up our perspective of our world and what's important to us and act on it. Maybe it might not be necessarily speak up, it might be more of an action. And it's not always going to require the same things. But how can we step up to that? And it takes courage, because there's a lot of trials and errors. There's so much to it. And building self-esteem, it's funny because it's not about how good are you at this. It's more about how good are you standing up to your truth. It is funny because you might not be like winning yet, or maybe it's not winning for you. It's not about winning, but you can have a good sense of self-esteem. You can have a really strong self-esteem without having cool clothes, or without having like the cool trendy words of hanging out and being. You don't need nothing to have a good self-esteem. And that is the best conclusion I've ever had. You don't need years of training and years of certifications and having a lot of proofs of how much you've done in this life. You don't need any of that. All we need is, how good are you in standing up for your truth? And it's a skill. It's a skill building thing. And we build it through taking actions, those actions that are uncomfortable, by getting uncomfortable. And by getting uncomfortable doing the things that we're feeling a pull towards. And not staying in the safe zone. And going back to my story, I've been following my guidance my whole life. And I know this because I've had this rebellious sense, that I call it sacred rebellious, because I've never fought anybody to do what I want. Maybe I fought a few people, but I've always done what I feel in my gut. And it's funny because even the words, everything came out as if I was already following my inner. So I've been following some of my guidance. And this gave me a strong self-esteem, which I do have a strong self-esteem sometimes. And then where it really got messy is that this inner structure has a lot of branches, has a lot of different foundations, has like, it's not just a straight tower. It's like, it's a structure, and it's built also from relationships. How much do you live your truth? And a huge portion of what I've done in my whole life, even though it's following guidance, even though there was some rebellious to it in what I learned. As a student, I think I've always been like my most truthful self. And then yet, in other portions of my life, I was completely living towards other people's standards, not my standard, not my truth, not my perspective, and not my way of being, but mostly trying to fit in, which dims our light, which makes us so small compared to who we are. And we get so used to living like that it feels so uncomfortable to expand ourselves and be fully ourselves. It feels so uncomfortable that it takes practice and it takes time to accomplish feeling completely fully in every angle of our life. And the painful part of this is that this tower, when it's built from untruths that are not ours, this structure becomes very weak, and at some point it crumbles. And if we don't know what's going on, if we don't know that this is what's happening, this is the most painful experience that we could ever go through. This creates so much pain, and it's almost like a breaking of, if we don't manage it well, it could really affect our spirit. It can really disconnect us from our spirit. It can really feel shameful and painful and destructive. And this leads to really regathering. It's a beautiful experience if we know what's happening. So the experience of crumbling the tower, it's not bad, but how it feels for some people, if we don't know, for some people, for myself, that's how I felt. And this is why I step up to do this. And this is why I'm so passionate about this, because I've gone through a beautiful journey of growth that has been massively disruptive. And I have no idea how I maintain myself to be steady, at least not crumble into many, many, many pieces. And I did crumble, and I did crumble into many, many pieces. And it was horrible and it was painful. And I don't wish that on anybody. But it taught me so much compassion. To mature. It taught me how important is our truth and how different it is from other people, and how it's almost impossible to really give a good advice or think that we can tell someone else this is what you should do, because we can't. Everybody has a different set of experiences they must go through. But we can definitely share our story, and we can share that this inner crumbling that happens to all of us when we have been building ourselves from other people's standards, it is painful. And sometimes it is so painful that people rather continue rebuilding that fake structure, that structure that isn't sustainable. It isn't sustainable. It's going to keep crumbling. They rather continue that because it feels safe, because it's what's familiar. And the issue is we feel a void. We feel like we want something else in life, but yet we're still here. We complain. Then we create imbalances of anger. We create other types of imbalances. And I've been there. I've taken all the steps towards trying to recreate my structure, and by accident, because not knowing completely my truth, not able to enhance my truth completely, because it was so scary to fully embrace my truth. I kept rebuilding the structure in a way that wasn't sustainable for me, and it kept just crushing into little pieces. And so I think the skill here to build is not even the building and the crumbling. It's tapping into our inner truth, tapping into those valuable inner richness that we have inside, and also learning to self-acceptance, self-love, self-nurture, because sometimes none of this happens because we don't know what's going on. So it's kind of hard to really even love ourselves when everything is pointing at us being bad. We're so used to people pleasing that anything that we do wrong is like, oh my God, the world's over because people are rejecting me. And no, actually, it is completely normal if somehow people are just moving away. I have here. So in my story, I had written down, not having the skills to build a strong core of self-acceptance and love, not having the skill to create a structure inside of me that it nourishes me, that isn't worry and concern about other people, but is concerned about my inner, my health, my joy, my love, my nourishment, that is filling myself with my own needs. And I think this part is probably the most important part of building our structure up again. Because if we don't have that self-love to build ourselves up, every time it crumbles, we are just a mess. And this structure, when it's being built by our truths, there will be parts that need to be upgraded. The important part is that the foundation is permanent. That our foundation is following guidance from our truths. And if there's some little pieces that are not, then that's okay. Most of the time, we build this structure because we have been fed with lies. So when we nourish lies in our thoughts, in our words, in our ways of being, which are, I need years to do this or to become this. I need to study more so I can actually step up to be more confident, or to say that I know, or to be fully myself. I need to do more shadow work. I need to study more. And then the other one is I need support, and I need support in people. I need people to support me and validate me. Pretty much, you want other people to build your structure, which is not going to happen. So this is why we get rejected. And this are lies that we've been fed. It's just by custom norms, like our society, culture is pretty much, let me get my needs from other people. So let me wait for somebody else to help me and save me. And if we really know how powerful we are and how capable we are, which our spirit knows it, our spirit is going to lead us to understand that we don't need anybody. And that if we want, let's say we're praying for self-love. Oh, well, you're doing affirmations of self-love. This affirmations of self-love can take us into a journey of pushing people away, because it is a way of our spirit saying, okay, you want self-love, learn to give yourself your needs, fulfill all your needs yourself, in how you talk and how you walk and how you live your life. Fulfill those needs yourself. So we have been fed this lies of, I need my needs from somewhere there. I need people to validate me in order for me to speak up my truth. So that's another thing. We have this truth and it's so beautiful and it's so amazing. And we know it's so powerful and we feel so great when we feel it, we visualize it, but then bringing it out becomes it becomes hard. But the reason for this hard feeling of bringing this truth is because we want someone to validate us. So because haven't had any validation yet, we're like, how can I share this? I haven't had someone say, yeah, this is okay. You want someone else to say your truth is okay, but you know your truth is okay. So why isn't our own validation and our own self-validation of that truth not enough? So it's a skill building of transforming that belief that we need someone else to validate our truth, and just validating our truth ourselves. So this leads me to my tip of the day, my advice, and what I've been building up with my work. And it's that I've been learning through a lot of teachers. and a lot of teachings and modalities. And I've been helped through those modalities to release baggage, because a lot of this structure built up also comes from inherited low self-esteem, inherited fears. And it makes us create this structure from a fear stand. It creates us to walk a life that is almost like dimmed, but it's also because we're also living with imbalances that are not ours. Then there's also imbalances that are from society, a lot of belief systems that are outdated, and they're already shifting. A lot of people are shifting this, and it's beautiful because we're humans, we're evolving, and this is normal. This is humans evolving and enjoy it. So where I'm really focusing all my energy is towards building this inner trust with our inner richness, with our inner guidance, building trust. And I believe that we all have our own unique ways of this transition, of nourishing ourselves. It is very unique. But when we know that somebody has been through that, and that what's happening to us is not a bad thing. It's not to put shame on it. It is okay to be going through really uncomfortable things that point at you, that you think they're pointing at you, that you're a bad human because you're doing something that nourishes you for the first time, and nobody agrees with it. It is okay. And it is okay to feel all these things. And when you have somebody to support you in it, and to also help you through modalities that release imbalances, that also make this path a lot more smooth, because when we have inner baggage of emotional clutter, it distorts the way we feel things. So maybe this crumbling could be smooth. Oh, I'm gonna reprogram, I'm gonna recreate myself to a more truthful me. So I'm releasing all this old ways of being that I always knew were old, because we always know. When you see them, you're like, yeah, that's not mine. So you release them, and you start stepping daily in daily action, in daily words, in daily move towards you, towards yourself. So it's not as hard. And then, yeah, the hard, painful ickiness comes from all these imbalances that we have from all the bad decisions that we've made. So every time we took a choice of low self-esteem, we chose the comfort zone. We chose, every time we told our body and our energy, oh no, I can't do that. I can just do this when you can do more. And every time we chose low self-esteem and repression, and repressing our energy, and repressing our creativity, and suppressing ourselves, and doing a job that we don't like and that doesn't follow our values, and repeating the same things that we don't like, and being surrounded by groups or things that are not nourishing our spirit, then when you release, this creates a lot of imbalances, every choice like that, because unconsciously our subconscious is saying, oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I don't matter. I'm purposeful. I have no purpose. I am depressed. It just creates a lot of imbalances of emotional stuff that it creates. It depends, because emotions are really, they vary, but we're suppressing so much that this can create a reaction of anger, because we're creating too much imbalances in certain areas, and this is bringing up anger, frustration. So when we release these imbalances, we are able to go through this process a lot more smooth. And then the other tip and the other advice is I've created myself through my own little practices of reprogramming my own beliefs by becoming aware of my own beliefs. Like, what is standing in the way? And just becoming aware, removing it, and feeding it new belief systems. So, the way that I've been working this is working on my code of ethics strongly. Like, what is my truth? And I feel like my code of ethics will evolve eventually, maybe to a different name. But for now, it's like my code of ethics. It's my truth. And I call it code of ethics because it's not about integrity. It's not about having transparency and, this universal code of ethics. It's about how you approach those things, how you perceive those things, and what is your truth about those things, and what is your truth about how you live your life and how you're willing to experience life. Because we're here with a set of intentions to experience life. So our truth and our purpose is not about a career, but it's about how we embrace our life, how we embrace our spirit, and how we choose life, how we choose to perceive life. Are we choosing to perceive life fully, or are we choosing to perceive life just by a little piece of it? And I am working through this, through the emotion code, sessions of emotion code, just to release emotional imbalances, and then doing a creative thesis where we get to go into our inner child, to our belief systems from growing up or from our whole life, or some belief systems that we don't know where they come from. And this is going to lead us. So we're going to be jumping back and forth from doing this workshop, and it's going to be like a group workshop where we just interact with each other and we share, and then we reprogram, and it's going to get more interactive and it's going to get deeper, but we're going to be developing a thesis statement that represents our creative expression right now. What is our spirit calling us to do? And this is not a rational thing. It's not like a fixed thing, like, oh, this is my life. No, it's about having a direction, a perspective. And we're going to go into that too. Not really being so fixed on the logical way, but letting go of the rational and just kind of diving into the non-rational, which is more it's embracing our other senses, which comes from the spirit. So when we talk about the spirit, we're talking about the non-rational logical senses, which it is logical somehow, but it's not mind rational. It's not like this is because this. It's more like it follows my truth and it follows my values. And it's not logical because I have no idea where it's going to lead me, but I'm going to go towards that. And that's the beauty of it too, that sometimes, most of the time, 100% of the time, we don't know where it's going to go. And that's the beauty of embracing this life. It's embracing it fully, because living safe is knowing where it's going to go. And most of the time, it never leads to where we think it's going to go anyway. So might as well go towards the path that really attracts us the most and really feels amazing it feels amazing. Like, wow, if I did that, that would be so amazing. Like, I would love that. Like, it calls us, but then we feel fear of it. Well, embracing that. So dancing, being able to dance with fear, being able to dance with those things that come up. So I did a workshop and we came up a lot with, wanting to have everything perfect, and I want to do this and I want this and I want my life to be perfect here and here and here and here. And it's like, that's a lot. That's a lot of expectations. How about letting go? How about like feeling that your life is perfect right now? How can we build ourselves in a way that we're good, our self-esteem is good now, and we are loving now, and we become more present in the now, and we stop thinking of our needing to reach somewhere to have purpose. Our purpose is right now. Like, we already have purpose, and we're already doing our purpose somehow. We're just not giving it value. And this is why we don't have the good self-esteem we need. Either we have some high self-esteem from something that it's not even ours, or we have this low self-esteem from not even seeing our value. So it's how much nourishment can we give to our value? And that's the course that I'm doing. It's a bit of everything I've practiced in my life, but mostly in a practical sense, where we are connecting with our spirit in a very practical sense, and at the same time in a very intimate way. So it's going to get more intimate as we go. And I'm excited to see where it goes, because I've never really done this before with other people, and I am excited to do something like this because this is what I do. And I do it with people actually all the time, but I've never done it like officially. So I'm selling this course as emotion code only. This portion is just for fun. It's experimental, if you want to see experimental. I know it works, but because it's my first time doing it, I am only charging for emotion code. So my price is only emotion code, and it's a really discounted price. So this portion is self-development for all of us. It's a fun interactive course, and it's good for students. It's good for people who are in a process of making a beautiful decision, people that are looking to be entrepreneurs and or following this calling, or just having this intense feeling of a calling. A calling is like, it's like if it haunts you, it's like, why don't you go and do that? And then other people will bring angles of this, like, to remind you, you should do this. This is a calling. A calling is our inner spirit saying, try this. I need you to go there because I need you to expand in that experience. Our spirit didn't come here, does not care about the career we do. It cares about the experiences, the places, and people we meet. It really it drives for experience and expansion. And these expansions are uncomfortable sometimes. And the spirit loves that. It's like, go there, go get uncomfortable over there. I need you to learn that. But the spirit also knows what we need to experience to become what we need to become here. And when we follow that, even if it's uncomfortable, we're building skills. We're building self-esteem. And the more we defeat those fears, the stronger this inner structure becomes, and the less we suffer, and the more confident we are with our life choices. But we cannot build self-esteem from just doing some disciplines and doing some planning, and it is almost like a spiritual thing. We have to be connected to our spirit to have a strong self-esteem. If not, that self-esteem is going to crumble at some point because it's not being built from a strong inner sense, inner essence. Well, I hope to see you guys in my next videos or on my site, Visita. It's my booking site, and I have the free workshop for next week, and I have other programs that I'm doing, and it also gives you a good sense of how it feels to work with me. And emotion code itself is great. So I recommend you to check out my programs and check out what I'm doing, and just try it out and see how it feels. All right. So till next time, bye.